Let's go over these rules.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So, number one, being honest, and that we always say be honest, and it starts with yourself. So number one, we don't lie to our kids ever, period. End of story. Again, it goes back to that hypocrisy thing, right? If we say we don't lie and then we even talk, and again, parent, however the hell you want, people get pissed at me when I say this, but we don't do Santa Claus. We never have. And that's, to me, that's a lie, because hey, he's not real. So we just don't do it. And so, being honest matters, but being honest starting with yourself too.
What about holding information from the kids? Let's say there's you come on some financial hard times or just have the difficult conversation with them. What do you do in your household?
So it depends on what it is, right? So, school shooting or a shooting in Chicago a couple days ago, that's not something I'm bringing to my kids. So I'm not lying about it. But if they heard about it and just went, hey, we heard about this, I'm not going to go deep dive into it, but I'll give them the information they need to know, and we'll have that. We'll have the conversation. Finances, I think parents should be intentional about talking to their kids about it. My kids know where we stand. They know all of the business accounts look like. They know what our trusts look like. They have kind of an idea of how the trusts work and the foundations work and all that kind of stuff. And so, we talk about that very, very intentionally. So, that's a different sort of thing, but if they ask a question about something, at very least we can say, you know what, you wouldn't necessarily understand the answers to that. So I'll give you the surface level. And as you get a little older and get some more understanding, we'll have that kind of conversation. But what if
a family member's like real sick or something? Like you just, you have that hard conversation. You say, hey, Aunt so-and-so, she has brain cancer and like, it's not looking good.
Had that conversation around Aunt so-and-so last week. My mom's sister right now.
Damn.
Yeah, you bet. That's just, hey, this is what she's dealing with. And this is kind of what they're doing. And it's like, okay, and it's like, are you guys, so if you feel like talking about it, if anything comes up, let us know. And this is kind of how we're talk through those conversations.
I always believed in I think kids are like really intuitive and they're really smart. If you're harboring like a lot of stuff and not communicating with them, I don't think it's great.
They know, they pay attention, man. They're so much smarter and more intuitive, right? We haven't trained it out of them yet.
Right.
And the world hasn't beat it out of them yet. So they're more in tune with that. So absolutely, man, have those conversations and they can handle that. So yeah, 100%. Being a copycat. And so that for us is, we talk about the patterns of success, right? And so it's who is doing something you want to do. And if they're doing something, how did they get there? Because if they can get there, you can get there too. So what does that look like? And we take it a little step further and kind of do that whole, kind of board of directors sort of thing from Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, right? You got kind of a board of directors for all areas of your life sort of deal. So it's find those patterns of success and kind of have your board of directors. Who is that person that you kind of look up to there? Because if you look up to them, they either have something that you want, or maybe there's something there that they exhibit, a characteristic or something that is really a piece of you already. So we're not saying to be somebody else, but if you connect to something, I connected to William Wallace's, every man, dies, not every man really lives, as a 14-year-old. I remember watching that and just being like, that's right, dude, just being super excited, right? So do I want to be William Wallace? Absolutely not. But that concept, okay, cool. If he's embodying that, what do I need to do to make sure I'm embodying that every day, right? It's that same kind of concept. So being a copycat is that.
Real quick,
please.
I really do love how personal development concepts are cemented into these rules, because like the be a copycat thing, all the adult friends that I know who ended up getting into personal development in their 20s and stuff, you come up through a school system where you're always asking questions about how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this? You're not taught to find resources, right? And then you start reading about personal development stuff, and then you become you learn how to find those answers for yourself.
That's right.
Rather than tell me what to do, it's like, what did you read for that?
That's right.
So learning this as a kid is so fucking useful and fundamental. Totally. I wish I
100%. And that's part of what I like about acting too, is we don't answer questions, right? It's if they've got a question, it's okay, where would we find that? Who's doing that better than anybody? Where can we go, and can we learn anything from them? Do they have a book? Do they have a podcast? Do they have can we go get that answer? Right. And Jakey was talking about, directing. It's like, okay, cool. Well, I know, obviously you got Uncle Chris, he's phenomenal, but I also got, what's that?
I said, right. Yeah. No,
we got Justin Folk too, it was like
using family members is a great example.
Huge, some phenomenal examples, and so, I absolutely 100%. Being an emotional ninja. And so, feelings are not bad things. That is a part of the human condition. We have feelings. We can get angry, we can get upset, we can be happy, we can be, all of those things are valuable. What's not valuable is letting yourself be overly controlled by it and putting some of those feelings up on a pedestal where it's like, you feel like you're entitled to something if you're angrier more often, or you're entitled to something if you're sad more often. And so many people, it's just like they want to tell everybody about how sad they are all the time for something because they want everybody to go, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Or they want, it's just, feelings are valuable, but calm is a superpower. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing, and that's one of the things that I love the most about you guys in particular is I think you guys have really worked on that and harnessed that as humans. I think you guys exhibit that, your ability to just stay relatively neutral. Yeah, I can acknowledge that feelings are there, but I'm going to go ahead and stay calm because it's going to allow me to make a better decision. I'm going to go ahead and detach if I need to detach so I can make a better decision, right? Calm, especially in the midst of chaos, is an absolute superpower. And so again, I've got to exhibit that at home first. If I exhibit that more, they exhibit it as well.
I don't mean to stop at every rule, man, and I'm not going to. But
it's all good.
This one specifically, I wonder, do you notice a difference between men and women in terms of uptaking this specific rule? Because there's this stereotype.
Trying to get my man in trouble.
but there is this idea that, women tend to be more in tune with their emotions than men, which also turns into they can exhibit their emotions more than men, with it being okay. Sure. Like that's a normal thing. Now, now what you have 3 daughters and 1 son, right?
I have 2 daughters, 1 son.
2 daughters, 1 son. Mm-hmm. So what have you noticed about this rule when raising 2 daughters, having a wife?
Yeah. I give more leeway there because they will naturally be more emotional. Mm-hmm. My biggest mistakes early on were twofold. One, trying to fix it immediately and being like, hey, hold on, calm down. First of all, worst thing you can say, right? Calm down. Here's your answer, right? You're gonna get your dick kicked, and you deserve it. So that's big. Or, that's really it. You got to give them some time, or I wouldn't give them enough time to let them be emotional, because if you jump in and get emotional with them, that's going to just extend it too. And so, just understand that that's there, appreciate it, cool. Let me know how I can help, and give them a little bit of time and space to get the emotions out, and then they'll calm down relatively quickly thereafter. So not jumping in too quickly is kind of a big thing, because it happens more. Whereas my son, I can just kind of, it's a little quicker.
Power Project family, how's it going now? We've partnered with Bubs Naturals, and they're an amazing brand. They have this just wonderful MCT oil powder that I put in my coffee in the morning, and they have this collagen protein. Most people don't get the amount of collagen that they need in. All mix well in anything, coffee, water, whatever. It's also Whole30 approved. But the thing I want to talk to you guys about real quick are these apple cider vinegar gummies. Now, if you go on Google and you type in apple cider vinegar, there's tons of benefits: immune support, metabolism, digestion can oof. But one thing you'll also come across is apple cider vinegar tastes like shit.
It's bad.
It's really bad. That's why they came out with these crack gummies. The reason why I call them crack gummies, and it's an empty little package of them, because we can't not eat a lot of them at once. They're really good for you, don't get me wrong, but they also taste really good. And it's hard to only eat 2 at once, and the serving size is 2. So you guys should get this. You should only have 2.
Good luck.
Good luck. But the benefits of apple cider vinegar, actually, from these gummies, I noticed that honestly, it's helped my digestion a lot. So
a ton.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely has helped me, hit the bathroom a lot more consistently. Mark always talks about, may your shits be tapered. And I guarantee you with those, they will be.
They will be.
But just, please don't eat the entire bottle the way we do, but they're that good. And, I have tried apple cider vinegar and all that stuff, and it made me sick. I felt real bloated, and I couldn't be consistent with it. With this, it's very easy to stay consistent.
We're too consistent.
A little bit too consistent, yeah. But head over to bubsnaturals.com and make sure you guys enter promo code POWERPROJECT to save 20% off your entire order. Again, bubsnaturals.com, promo code POWERPROJECT to save 20% off. Links to them down in the description, as well as the podcast show notes.
I think it's part of the reason why women are healthier. Like why women live longer.
I agree.
Because they burn through it all quicker, you know?
They do. Where we just like
we harbor it.
Yeah.
Like
I'm
we
just gonna
trap it.
stuff this in for 20 years and I'll get back to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And then your fucking heart explodes out of your chest.
Oh God!
Dude, so true. We're kind of stupid. Yeah. No, I think you're right.
But yeah, just being emotionally intelligent and being able to figure out what to do with a particular feeling. You don't have to always act on it right away or be reactionary.
That's right. And being able to identify it and understanding like, okay, I'm really pissed right now. And so what is it, man? So then we can take a step back and just reflect. So why do you get so mad when your brother does that? If that doesn't really impact you, like what is it about that? And it's like, okay, well, let's be thoughtful about it. And again, that just allows you to be proactive the next time, you know, and or not put yourself in situations where those emotions are going to come, you know, out of control. So just want them to have some emotional intelligence around that. And so that's kind of how we address it.
Your son is raising some hell is what you're saying.
That boy's, yeah.
He's got a lot of energy.
That boy gets at it, man, for sure. Well, he named so Vision Quest. You guys ever see Vision Quest?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where his name came from. So it's a movie about a high school wrestler in the 80s. Matthew Modine played Loudon Swain.
That's a great movie.
So it's a great movie. I got Frank Jasper, the guy that played Shoot, that he wrestles. I got Frank coming on the podcast in a couple of weeks, I think. But yeah, so that's where Loudon's name came from, is from that movie. I played Lunatic Fringe the entire way home from the hospital, the whole way. Like that's just his jam. So
Getting fired up.
Yeah, man, he's lived up to it. So being the hardest worker in the room, you know, that one's relatively self-explanatory, but we don't get into too much of the comparison. That's where, you know, we have to make sure it's like, look, hardest worker in the room just means you are putting forth your best effort all the time, right? You're really comparing to yourself, because if you get stuck in like, okay, well, there's 4 of us in here right now. Am I out working? You know, Andrew and Nsima and Mark. Fucking like, just that gets to an unhealthy place too. It's just, are you handling your stuff and really putting forth effort to get better?
Calves.
I know he's over. So I'm just like, all right, man, I gotta. So it's like that gets silly. So it's more, you know, it's more of an introspection kind of thing. And the same thing with the next one, right? Be the kindest person in the room. Be the nicest person in the room. Like, be just conscientious about how you treat other people. The caveat that we talk about there a little bit now, but it doesn't play out too much. I don't harp on it a ton right now, but it will need to later, and I will, especially for my young man, is being nice is not the same thing as getting walked all over and being a pushover, because that's very much, you know, I talked to the young men I get to serve through Apogee about being the savage and the gentleman, like having the ability to do both, and you're not going to get walked over. You should be in that gentleman mode 99% of the time, right? But you should be capable to be the savage where you need to, and you need to be capable of cutting people off if they're, you know, if they need to be cut off, whatever that looks like. But treat people well. If they're somebody that's going to be in your life, you want to have that relationship. No complaining, fix it. It's not worth complaining about almost ever, but if it is, then it's worth finding a solution. You know, we talk about schools all the time with that, right? I was the public school and private school teacher and administrator that was complaining about all the ways that it could have been and should have been. Cool. So what are you going to do about it? You know, so build something else.
That one's a big one.
It's a freaking huge one.
You know, we tend to use the words them and they. You know, right. They made it this way. That this is this. Well,
that's right.
And it's like, well, you could probably
so you can do something about that.
You probably look in the mirror and probably find somebody that
you can
might
probably find somebody that can handle that. That's right. But people don't do it because of the fear. You know, it's the normal fears of other people's opinions about it and whatever. And same. We just moved to North Carolina, right? That pissed a lot of people off. Yeah. Made a lot of people upset, you know, our family and friends and whatever. I'm like, look, man, I'm not doing it to get away from you. But there were some things that we saw. There were opportunities that were there. There were some things that we saw were issues. We had opportunities that, you know, for us as a family that made a whole lot of sense. And I'm not going to complain about, oh, well, California this, or my taxes this, or my whatever. I actually have a tangible way to fix it. So I need to put my money where my mouth is and pull the trigger.
I like that one especially too, because like, not like I complained a lot as a kid, but I did remember when I was 21 years old, the first time I heard about just the complaining rule was on the Tim Ferriss podcast. I remember him saying, I don't complain ever. That's just a rule for me. And I was like, it's a fucking good rule. I'm just not going to complain about anything ever again.
It's a great rule.
It is, yeah.
Words matter. You know, they very much do. And so you're training I really believe you're training your subconscious when you're just consistently in that frame of mind, you know, and you'll start to see all the things wrong. You can always find something wrong, but man, you can always find something right too. You know, I think that's just so much more powerful. You know, think because most people won't. We talk a lot about the fact that people live reactively and people live out of fear, and people will follow the status quo. We all heard the whole, you know, if your friends all jumped off a bridge, man, would you do it? And we're always like, no. 99% of people are an abso-freaking-lutely yes, they would, for most things, you know. And so we just talk about, look, think and be very intentional about what you're doing and why you're doing it, because most people will not do that. They will just go with the flow. We give credit to Jocko for number 8, right? Discipline equals freedom. And it's that same concept we talked about earlier is, you know, if we know responsibility comes before that freedom, if we have that order correct, we'll always take care of the priorities and the things that need to be done. And that gives us freedom, the ultimate freedom being, you know, a peace of mind that most people don't have. I really think that's a big part of the reason my kids are happier than most kids. I think that's why I'm happier than most people, because there's non-negotiables every day of the things that need to get done, and we're going to get those done. Memento Mori is the one I probably get the most pushback on, because people go, well, you're teaching your kids to have like a fascination with death, and it's a fascination with life, right? It's it's, don't forget, man, you've got one day today, that's it, and then this day is gone, is done, and you're one day closer to death. So like, let's make the most of it, kind of deal. Be intentional.
Everything's temporary.
Everything's temporary. This ride ends.
Right.
You know? You are personally responsible, and that's just a reminder that if there's something that needs to be done, you're responsible for getting it done. Whether that's somebody's socks are on the floor, or you know, something's got to get fed on the farm, or something's got to, you know, happen in business. You're always a leader. You're at very least you're a leader of one. So you are always personally responsible. And then the last one is doing the right thing is always the right thing. You do not negotiate with your integrity ever. You know, and that's a fun conversation with them, because, you know, we talk, like, I'm not always going to be there. Mom's not always going to be there. Sometimes you are by yourself. Sometimes you are with some peers. Sometimes you are. The minute you let yourself negotiate with your integrity, you know, you open up the doors to some pretty slippery slopes that you don't want to go down. So, and every time you avoid sacrificing your integrity, you put some money in the bank right there that you can count on later. So don't sacrifice your integrity.
That handwriting was immaculate, by the way. That's one thing I noticed.
So, man, that's shout out to oh God, I wish I could remember the name of the business that did it. Kelly Steele is her name. So yeah, shout out to Kelly, man, because I sent her over those rules, and she whipped it up and put it on our doorstep for us to come grab. Yeah. Kelly Steele.
Hey guys, I've seen that you guys have been commenting about how much you hate the whispering outro, asking you to like, comment, and subscribe. So I'm going to whisper again because I know you don't like it. So hey, I know we're bringing you some good content. So like, comment, subscribe, and share it with some friends so we can all help each other out. And maybe I'll stop whispering in your